All right. Who feels like reading?
I'm happy to start.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Oh.
Short one. To dwell in the house of truth.
Mm.
This idea is an idea of love. It is an idea that makes perfect sense. And it is its very sense that makes it seem meaningless in a world gone mad.
Mm.
It is an idea that says only that which comes from love is real. It is an idea that says only that which fits within the laws of love is reality. It's an idea that says all that love would not create does not exist. It is an idea that says that if you live from love and within love's laws, you will create only love.
Mm.
It is an idea that accepts that this can be done and can be done by you in the here and now. To accept these ideas without accepting their ability to be applied is to change your beliefs without changing your ideas. This many have done. This you surely do not want to do. While you cannot now see the chain of events that will make these ideas into a new reality, you can trust that they will be there, spreading out like a web, much as the ego's ideas of separation once did. Yet, as these ideas are not learned ideas, they will not take time, as did the ego's ideas, to spread through learning. Ideas of love or the truth are joined in unity and exist in relationship. All of the ideas within the house of illusion were contained within it and held together by the learnt ideas of the ego thought system. Now you must imagine yourself walking outside of the doors of this house of illusion and finding a completely new reality beyond its walls. You might think at first that you are in a place so foreign that you must immediately begin to learn again, starting with the smallest building blocks of knowledge, as if learning a new alphabet. Mm-hmm. Yet you soon will find that this new reality is known to you and requires no new learning at all. You will be tempted at first to see things that are like unto those within the house of illusion and call them what you called them once before. But here you will find yourself gently corrected, and when this correction is given you, will not doubt it, but will remember that it is the truth you had forgotten.
Thanks, Mark. Some new people come along, so we're up to the third treatise, chapter 9, 9.4. Is it right? 4? Can't see it.
Yes.
Chapter 9. Is,
Who wants to read next?
does it start with when a need is filled?
No.
Is that no?
You
I'm
will
not,
see the house of illusion.
In chapter 9 in the third treatise.
all right, I think I'm on the wrong treatise.
Yeah, it's so easy to do because there's 4 of them.
Yeah, it's called To Dwell in the House of Truth.
Yeah, perfect. Got it. 9.4.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll go.
Okay.
Oh,
Good.
You will see that the house of illusion was just a structure built within the universe of truth, and that the universe of truth contains everything within its benevolent embrace. No one stands beyond the embrace of love, and you will be glad to see that those who remain within the house of illusion could not escape love's presence. Thank God. You will be tempted, nonetheless, to re-enter the house of illusion, if only to grasp the hands of those you love and gently tug them through its doors. You will be able to take note of the explosions happening within and will want to return to add your own to those going on inside, thinking that with the force of one more, maybe the walls will finally come tumbling down and those inside be held within illusions no more. This was the work of many who came before you, but the time of such work for you is past. Many remain to shake the walls of illusions. Few stand beyond it to beckon, to those within.
Might as well finish it off, Andrew.
Okay. The paradise that is the truth seems to lie far beyond the house of illusion in the valley of death. Survivors of near-death experiences have eased the fears of many, but made many more long for life after death rather than life. You who have followed me beyond the walls of the house of illusion are now called to begin the act of revealing and creating anew the life of heaven on earth. This is the pilgrimage I set you upon, as real as those who in the time of Moses journeyed through the desert to the promised land. That journey remained metaphorical because it did not pass beyond the arena of beliefs into the arena of ideas. The Israelites believed in a promised land, but they did not dwell in it. You are called to dwell in the promised land, the house of truth. Hmm. Yeah, it's easy to get sucked into the house of illusion. And I'm realizing it's good to step away sometimes. Or not, yeah.
His hands. Catch him up when he comes on.
What was that?
Oh, I'm just going to catch up when Andy comes on. We'll let him know where we're up to.
Paragraph 9.5 is really jumping out for me this morning. In terms of, it says, you will be tempted nevertheless to re-enter the house of illusion, if only to grasp the hands of those you love and gently tug them through its doors. You will be able to take note of the explosions happening within and will want to return to add your own to those going on inside, thinking that the force of one more, maybe the walls will come tumbling down, and those inside be held within the illusion no more. This was the work of many who came before you, but the time of such work for you is past. Many remain to shake the walls of illusion. Few stand beyond it to beckon those within. And as I took that on board, in my heart, I could feel the separation of not taking responsibility for others, to step out of the illusion, but to be yourself in terms of the love, walking the love of spirit, to be yourself and walk in that love, and others in the illusion will see that. That's how I got that.
Beautiful.
I had the experience this morning of somebody knocking at my door and saying, are you concerned about the state of the world and what's going on? Well, God has the answer, and we'd like to show you some Bible studies. And I don't know where they were from or what. And I kind of debated about, do I get into a conversation? I thought, I guess, but I felt such sadness for them. They were doing what they thought was the best loving thing to do. It just felt very sad to see. Yeah, I once probably was in that situation of, if we just tell people, they'll get it.
Yes.
I listened to Anthony DeMello. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of him. He's a Jesuit priest, and he he talks about he makes a joke. He's like, you can't teach a pig to sing. It won't work, and you'll just annoy the pig. And yeah, so then he's just saying that, why bother arguing with someone about your point of view or about, and he says bye rather than, yeah. So sounds like a more peaceful way to.
I end up telling these nice ladies, well, I belong to a group where we are seeking God in our lives. And they said, okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Wow.
Oh, that was a good answer.
Beautiful. Just can't help to notice every time we finish a paragraph or finish a chapter, for me, it's always this, okay, almost like something takes, like being taken. It's my latest word. Like I need do nothing. It just something happens. Like this chapter affects something inside that begins to expand because it's been touched.
Mm.
And it's just so beautifully rippling within. It's like a gentle ripple of this, like a gentle stream, and it just simply begins to move, and it's just so home-like, like a little homecoming. And yeah, my descriptions are failing me totally, but something on that note.
Well, I notice that we all just, there's a natural silence that descends, and it's like there really isn't anything to say. It's just
Beautiful.
being there.
Yes. And I also like to encourage just to pay attention to that, how it takes us. Like it's just, I don't think this course can be understood. I think it's more like it, like I say, it does you despite you. Yeah. And it's so beautiful that it's becoming too that we begin to all feel it. I mean, do you guys feel it? What happens? There comes this like it almost a Course in Miracles called it like a state of invisibility. You suddenly don't look at specifics so much, and everything broadens and expands, extends, like as if the soul begins to extend through. Oh, it's just gorgeous, guys. I'm so grateful. Feel really touched this morning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the opportunity to experience instead of think about.
Yes. So beautiful. Mm. Yeah.
Like taking off a too tight shirt.
Yeah, I was just like, oh God, thank God, I can breathe again. Beautiful. An exercise in forgetting, chapter 10. A Course of Love talks much about remembering. Now we must talk about forgetting. While nothing need to be given up to enter the house of truth or to encounter the truth, you must realize that while meaninglessness exists within your mind, you'll be working still to replace it with meaning rather than allowing the meaning that exists in everything to be remembered or known. Jeez. Oh. That's a more practical lesson needed in regard to life of the body that you now will serve our cause of creating heaven on earth. The first lesson is offered as an exercise in forgetting. As often as is possible within your daily life, I ask you to forget as much of what you have learned as you are able. Oh, Jesus, huh? Like, oh my God, well, am I going to lose everything? The first thing I ask you to forget is your need to find a place where blame can be placed. I read it again as a beautiful spoken. The first thing I ask you to forget is your need to find a place where blame can be placed. You who have been waiting to get to the hard part of this course might find it here. The idea of blame is incongruous with the idea of benevolent creator and a benevolent creation. And as such, it is the only blasphemy.
Mm.
To blame yourself is as senseless as blaming others, and your inclination to place blame upon yourself must be given up as well. When it is said that you are the cause, it is not meant that you are to blame for everything. Although many a child has been blamed for his or her failure to learn, blame of yourself is an uncalled, is as uncalled for as is blaming a child for lessons yet to be learned. Oh, God.
Hmm.
Anyway, chapter 10, an exercise in forgetting, Third Treatise.
Yeah, 10.4.
10.4. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go. Taking away the idea of placing blame will change your thought processes beyond your wildest imagining.
Mm.
You will be surprised at how many times you recognize blame where before you saw it not. Just as in the beginning you did not recognize all that you had feared. But just as you have, from recognizing what it is you fear, been able to bring those concerns to love, you can now do so with blame. All you need to do is catch yourself in the act of placing blame and say to yourself, I was placing blame again, and I choose to do so no longer. You need not spend any more time with blame than this, and I offer you no word or sentiment to replace it. I ask you simply to take the thought of it from your mind as quickly as it enters. Wow.
Beautiful.
You would find this easier if a replacement were offered, for ridding your mind of blame will leave an empty space you will long to fill. This act of consciously choosing not to place blame will short-circuit the many thoughts that you would attach to this idea, thoughts that have formed a chain reaction. I'll start that again. This act of consciously choosing not to place blame will short-circuit the many thoughts that you would attach to this idea. thoughts that have formed a chain reaction of situations and events, feelings and behaviors that you had not realized were birthed from the idea of blame. Although I offer it not as a replacement, what you will find will come in the place of blame is an idea of acceptance of what is, an idea that is needed now. Acceptance of what is acceptance that whatever is happening in the present moment is a gift and a lesson. What comes as a lesson may not seem like a gift, but all lessons are gifts. While some of these lessons may come in forms that make them seem like lessons of old, they will not be repeats of lessons that have come before. They will not be lessons that you find difficult or distressing if you accept them as lessons and realize that all lessons are gifts. What you have struggled to learn in the past, you have struggled with only because you did not realize the nature of the situation as a lesson or recognize that all lessons are gifts.
Wow.
Leanne, would you like to read?
Paragraph 10.7. This relates to our exercise on forgetting, for you must forget the ways in which you have formerly reacted to every situation. Not one situation coming to you now will be a repeat of the past. How can it be? When the past was lived in the house of illusion and the present is lived in the house of truth. Being cognizant of this is the only way that the simultaneous learning and unlearning that was spoken of earlier will be able to be realized. You have passed through the time of unlearning what the past but seemed to teach you. Now, while life may seem much unchanged in its outward appearance, it is up to you to become aware of the total change that has, in truth, taken place. Along with this forgetting, there's another practice that will help you to become aware of this change. While much the same as forgetting, it will seem to have a different process in practice. This is the practice of ceasing to listen to the voice of the ego. While the ego is gone, many of its messages remain within your thoughts, like echoes of a former time. These thoughts are remembered messages, and so must, like all the rest, be forgotten. The process of forgetting these patterns will be only slightly different from forgetting your former reactions to people and situations, and much like forgetting to place blame. The first step in being able to forget such thoughts is in recognizing them as separate and distinct from the thoughts of your right mind or Christ mind. This will be easy because the thoughts of the ego mind were always harsh with you or with others.
Mm-hmm.
The Christ mind and the thoughts that come from the voice of the Christ mind will be gentle. The thoughts of the ego mind will come as disguises to certainty. Given just a little practice, these disguises will be easily seen through. And the uncertainty behind them revealed. Thoughts of the Christ mind will hold a certainty that cannot be disguised. Remember that all doubt is doubt about yourself, and that you are no longer called to doubt yourself. Your higher self, your capital S self, is now your Christ self.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
One more paragraph.
Thank you.
You will feel for a while as if constant certainty is impossible. This feeling will remain only as long as you remember your past uncertainty. Uncertainty, like all the rest of the ego's thought system, was learned.
Mm-hmm.
Your real self, your true self, has no cause for uncertainty. God bless me. Thus you are called as well to forget the uncertainty of the past.
Gosh, there's a big ask, Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I just had the vision where we are our Christ self, but we keep blaming our ego and trying to get rid of the ego when they're just old voicemails. They're just
Yes.
they need to be erased. We just keep playing the old voicemails over and over.
Yeah.
Somehow the old pattern is to expect uncertainty. Or yeah, just that. God bless us into accepting our certainty.
Mm-hmm.
Kim, would you like to read?
Sorry, who?
Kim?
Oh, sure. While these may seem like remedial lessons, they are not. You are no longer called to a time of uncertainty to learn through contrast the lessons of certainty. Realize that this is how you have learned in the past, and that all that is from the past is what you are being called to forget. Thus, when uncertainty arises, you need but remind yourself that the time for uncertainty is past. Uncertainty will not now come to teach you lessons you have already learned, but will only visit you as an echo from the past. It is a habit, a pattern of the old thought system. All you must do is not listen to it. Its voice will not be gentle or full of love. Its voice will hold the unmistakable edge of fear. Remember that, while gentle, these are and will be practical lessons that simply come to show you a new way of living, the way of living in the house of truth. You will not need to learn a foreign language to dwell in this new house, but you will need to learn what will at first seem to you a foreign thought system. This thought system recognizes no fear or judgment, no uncertainty or doubt, no contrast and no division. It is the thought system of unity. It is your true thought system and will be easily remembered once you begin to let it automatically replace the old. Think of this for a moment as you would a learned language. If you learned Spanish as a child and then learned and spoke English for many years, you might believe your Spanish to be forgotten. However, if you were to return to a dwelling where those within it spoke only Spanish, soon your knowledge of Spanish would return. For a short while, you would have two languages constantly running through your mind, and you would be translating one into the other. But eventually, if this situation went on for many years, You might think you had forgotten your ability to understand English. That's a good analogy, isn't it? Would someone else like to go?
Are you reading, Carolyn?
Sorry, yep. 10.14.
Yes.
Yep.
What we are doing now is much more like translating the learned thought system of the ego into the thought system of the Christ self that you, I think, you have forgotten. As you dwell in the house of truth, if you do not resist unlearning the ego thought system, the thought system of your true self will quite simply return to your memory. You will soon forget the thought system of ego self, even though when encountering those who still use that thought system, you will be able to communicate with them. Yet, the ease with which you communicate with them will diminish over time. You will find yourself continuously teaching the language, if you will, of a new thought system, for you will have no desire to communicate with anything else.
Anything less?
Oh, sorry, anything less, sorry. You will find that your new language will gather people to you in much the way people will gravitate towards beautiful music. Many will be eager to learn what you have remembered, because they will realize that the memory of this language exists within them as well. It will come naturally to you to welcome these back to the common language of the mind and heart joined in unity. You will desire more than anything for everyone you encounter to share this remembered language. Some, however, will resist.
Do you want to finish it off?
No. This is why we have called these lessons in forgetting practical lessons for the life of the body. They are lessons that will be translated in another way. These lessons that will enter your mind and heart will, of necessity, need to be translated into the language of the body as well. While your human form remains, you will be dwelling among those in human form. While the house of illusion still exists, you will continue to encounter those who exist within it. While you continue to encounter those who exist in the house of illusion, you will continue to encounter temptations of the human experience. These are what we will address. We will now address.
Oh,
There's a lot in there.
yeah. Mm.
Take a moment to let it sink in.
I love the expression of the mirror in 10.15. You will find that your new language will gather people to you in much the way people will gravitate towards beautiful music.
Mm.
You will be eager to learn what you have remembered because they will realize that the memory of this language exists within them as well.
Mm.
That's what I'm doing here now with you.
Yes. And that's the beauty, because sometimes it's easier to see it in others, but by seeing it in others, we recognize it in ourselves.
Yes.
You know what I saw then? I actually saw that when others, I saw, oh God, I saw the Spirit of God moving. When you find that new language, and many will be eager to learn what you have remembered, because they will realize the memory of this language exists in them as well.
Yes.
And I saw in my mind's eye, above the words of language, but to see the Spirit of God moving beyond the words.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Mm.
It comes back also to that word made flesh. When we really hear what he's saying, I mean, that's what this book does. Like suddenly you read it and you hear it with your heart, or you hear it with your soul, or you hear it with the essence of your being. And that hearing reverberates that part of us that makes it so visible to us. Like it's an inner awakening to part of ourselves that was dull before, and now it's more alive. And it's informing us of unity and relationship. Mm.
Mm.
Shall we dive into temptation of the human experience?
I sort of wonder if that might be enough today. It was a lot. There's a lot
Yeah,
in there.
true. I'm totally with you as well. I'm happy to go with the majority.
I love how the whole thing of letting go of blame is it's intimately tied in with the letting go of bitterness. It's all, they're one package really, aren't they?
Yes.
That we looked at last week.
I suddenly saw how if I've got some sort of physical thing going on, I want to blame it onto something.
Yeah.
I didn't
The
really see
ego's
that before. Like,
That's so good.
yeah,
there's always a reason.
yeah. And I've got to figure out if I can only figure out what the reason is, I'll be free of it, But I've got to blame it onto something first. Yeah.
Mm.
But I don't have to anymore.
Mm. Oh.
Are we going on or not? I was in transit listening, coming in late and listening, and I don't know. I could really use some more, but if the group doesn't want to, that's fine too.
Well, it was only my thought, and I'm happy to go either way, depending on what other people want.
I'm happy to go for another half hour or so. Yeah, it depends on others.
If you would, I'm home now with the book and could kind of use a grounding in it if you all want.
Do that.
Let's go.
Okay, I'll read. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, the temptations of the human experience. Consciousness is a state of awareness. The statement, I am, is a statement of awareness. It has been seen as a statement of awareness of the self. those existing within the house of illusion are aware of the self, but are unaware that the self of illusion, the self that exists in illusion, is an illusionary self. This could be further stated as those who exist in the house of illusion are aware of the personal self alone and believe the personal self to be who they are. Further, they believe the personal self to be the truth of the statement, I am.
Alex, I just want to be truly honest, I can't sink into this, but I don't mind if you guys continue, but I think I'm overloaded and I'm not getting any of this.
I'm actually feeling the same. I wanted to just sort of let it be.
I
But
also don't want to be a party pooper, so
no.
I'll just unmic myself and unveil myself and then just go and clean up my kitchen, and you just keep going happily ever after. We'll catch you guys next time, and I'll send the recording out.
Okay.
All right, blessed. Thanks,
you. Cole.
Keep going.
Thanks, Cole.
Okay,
Thank
love.
you.
Thanks, Allison. Okay, you guys still want to go on?
I thought I did, but yeah, once we started reading, I thought.
How about I read to the bottom of the page, and it might help me just to do that while with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we can just stop.
Okay.
Maybe sit for a minute, but then stop.
And we can, I wonder about, doing that and then just come back to the beginning of this chapter again next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just kind of being with you guys and reading it, just, I don't know, it's helping me.
Yeah, there's value in that.
It's helping remember. Thank you. Okay, so 11:2. Those existing within the house of truth also feel an awareness of the divine self without necessarily being able to put it into words. They no longer feel the statement of I am as a statement of the personal self or the self alone. For those existing in the house of truth, I am has become something larger, an all-encompassing recognition of the unity of all things with which the divine self coexists in truth and peace and love. These words, truth and peace and love, are interchangeable in the house of truth, as their meaning there is the same. These words, like the words house of truth, represent an awareness of a new reality, a new dwelling place. The word house, as used in the house of truth, does not represent a structure, but a dwelling place. The word house, as used in the house of illusion, does represent a structure. The house of illusion is a construction meant to shield the personal self from all that it would fear. The house of truth is the dwelling place of those who no longer live in fear and thus have no need for a structure of seeming protection. I'll just leave it right there. Is that just that sentence alone? Let me just read it one more time. The house of truth is the dwelling place of those who no longer live in fear and thus have no need for a structure of seeming protection. That's wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate you letting me do that. Oh, thank you.
You might go a couple more paragraphs. I like that little bit at the bottom there.
What's that?
I might just do a couple more paragraphs. I like that little piece just at the bottom on number 11.7. The house of illusion is the stage on which the drama of the human experience has been acted out. During the time I spent on earth, I did not dwell in the house of illusion, but in the house of truth. What this meant is that I was aware of the truth and lived by the truth. I was aware of the peace of God and lived within the peace of God. I was aware of the love of God, and the love of God lived within me. This is what you are now called to do. Be aware that the love of God lives within you. Live within the peace of God. Live by the truth. Are we all happy now?
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Live within the peace of God. Thank you. Thank you all.
Lovely, thank you.
Yeah, I feel more peaceful,
Yes.
less fearful. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it can be really grounding to do that. Sometimes it really does help. I often read out loud when I'm on my own. I often do.
Yes.
There's something about the speaking out of it that really is helpful.
Yeah, I find that too, Alison. Yeah.
Yeah. I just find this group so peace invoking because it's not an analysis. It's not a discussion group. It feels like living within the peace of God.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah.
It's a great way to start the weekend. Yeah. I've got a family lunch coming up soon. I'm going to be sorely tempted, I think.
Well, with your parents?
No, my parents have passed, but with my brothers and sisters and extended family, yeah.
That'll be fun.
And most of them are coming, so yeah, it'll be
just to be.
I'll have to
be.
Yes, try and remember.
Do you all have Olympic trials like we do going
What
on?
do you mean? What do you
Like
mean?
the next 2 weeks, there's trials for people to get on the Olympic team, different teams.
I don't know. I haven't been aware of that.
Oh,
there might be. I
haven't been following either, but maybe. I think it probably all happens at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, it's media. they like the money. So, yeah, for 2 weeks now.
Think
some
of
are
the
already
pressure of that.
Some are already decided, but some are this week. Yeah. Well, I did snowboard half pipe, and that's a 30-second ride. That's your life, right there. 30 seconds.
Well, it talked about lessons as a gift, or unless we see them as a pressure, as a trial, as a test. That's pressure.
Yes.
Well, you know what I heard when I was walking back from the bank, and I heard someone saying, listens, with your wonderful Australian accent, but it was lessons. And my, just hearing it, I thought, isn't that interesting? Like, yeah, lessons do come when I listen, or revelations, past sort of learning, do come when I'm open, when I'm listening. So yeah. Anyway, thank you all.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thanks for keeping it open, Kevin.
And thanks for asking for what you needed, Annie.
Yeah, it really did help, that little bit. So thanks.
Good.
Amen.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for holding it open, Kevin.
No worries.
Yeah.
Okay.
See you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
All
Next
right.
week.
Bye.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
See you guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Ciao.